What's the single most important item in your home that has a value of $1 or less? My mother passed away before my high school graduation. I had just gotten a job out of high school as a support tech for Apple when one of my older colleagues asked if I had $1 as he was practicing origami. I gave him the dollar and let him get to work making whatever he could for me. When my mom passed, as most people do, we symbolize the butterfly as a birth of her spirit keeping with us. Amazing how many butterflies you start to see when you lose a loved one. But at the end of my shift he returned it to me, a perfectly folded butterfly with my dollar. I cried very happy tears right to him and still have that dollar 15 years later in my wallet with me everywhere. Dude doesn't realize what a treat that was at the time. The book that my grandma used to read to me, it's worthless, wasn't even listed on Goodreads until I added it, but she died in 2005, the day after my 8th birthday, and remembering her voice reading it is one of the clearest memories I have. Would definitely save it in a fire. What book is it? C.A.T. Crusoe by Mark Burgess, about a sophisticated cat that is shipwrecked and meets a band of giant pirate mice. Wait, I swear I have this book. No way. It was one of my favorite books as a kid and nobody else had heard of it. I'm so glad to hear someone else loved it or has even heard of it as well. D. My collection of old dog tags, literally dogs. I have all my 4-legged dog tags since I was 9. I'm 54 now. I have it in my will to be buried with these, adding to the list of things I wish I had done. A ratty teddy bear passed down from my much older brothers to me is the only item I have that survived my insane childhood. Sounds like he makes a great balloon. A rock shaped like a heart. My fiance and I took a trip to Poland and Greece. I bought her a heart-shaped rock from a salt mine in Poland. Didn't cost $1, but at a red sand beach in Greece 4 days later, she found a rock that was shaped perfectly like a heart. This one was free. Both rocks now sit next to each other in our house we just bought. Also, one rock is dark and the other red. I so happen to have red hair and she has dark hair. She found the red heart rock for free and I bought the salt rock. Oh, that's so sweet. One time, about 5 years into our relationship, my girlfriend, now wife, and I were in separate rooms in our 1-bedroom apartment in early December. From the other room, she hollered to me, "What do you want for Christmas?" I had been working full-time, taking part-time university classes to finish my degree, and had been volunteering as part of a youth mentor program. So I said all I really want is a break. 3 weeks later, I'm unwrapping a very heavy show box. After getting through the mountain of duct tape and several layers of wrapping paper, I had my very own brick. "I really didn't understand what you wanted it for," she said, "but you sounded so sure of it. So here you go." Cue about 10 minutes of laughs. And now that brick sits proudly on my desk. Every time I'm overwhelmed or feeling like I've taken on too much, I look at it, pick it up, have a little laugh, and put it back so I can carry on. Best gift ever. That's an incredibly sweet story. Thanks for sharing. A best brother in the world pin from my brother who passed away. He gave it to me when he was 6. Edit. Thanks everyone, it means a lot. It was a few years ago and I've made peace. I hope has happy. For all you still suffering, I hope you get through it. It gets better. My son found a rock on the way home from school in kindergarten. We were walking home through this park we always cut through, and he grabbed the rock and fell in love with it. It just looked like mud to me, but who cares, he loved it. When we got home I helped him wash it off in the sink, and it was black and kinda bluish. He said it was awesome, and then gave it to me. It's one of my most precious things in the world to me. Oh, that's adorable. My stepdaughter loved gifting me rocks. I've kept quite a few. One of my favorites is a rose quartz she actually found on a hike in the mountains. It looked like a regular rock, but after we cleaned it up, I noticed it looked like quartz. I asked my friend, who collects minerals, and she told us what it was. I thought that was just absolutely amazing. I have a $1 bill saved and put away in a drawer. The significance behind it is it was my last dollar before I decided to stop gambling and doing hard drugs. I had to stop cold turkey. I was so done. being a half human or an empty shell. At first it was just $1 that sat in my center console in my car. I would look at it and be reminded what I was doing. I've been sober for well over a year now. I feel like that $1 is special. I know in Narcotics Anonymous they get something saying how long they've been sober or whatever. That $1 is my token. My token for fighting a silent battle that I cannot share with people, otherwise I could lose my job. When I was 4 or 5, the last time I ever saw my great grandmother, she gave me a dollar bill and said, as long as you keep this dollar you'll never be broke. I spent it the next day on some candy. That may be my biggest regret. I have a church organ in my house that I got for free when a church in another state couldn't find an organist and gave up the organ. I minored in music in college and I'm an organist, so it's probably the most important less than $1 item I own. Handwritten letters from my grandmother who passed away a few years ago. While it is sad to see her handwriting get progressively worse for each letter at the end, it is nice to have something that was that close to her. I have them stored in a small box and it always goes into our evacuation bag during fire season. I got this complimentary little webcam cover that slides back and forth over the camera lens on my laptop. It's saved me from making a fool of myself on Zoom many times now. I got this goodie bag for participating in this one event, and it had a webcam cover in it. Now every day I thank this little guy for helping me during online classes, or just for helping me to keep the privacy. When I was a very small kid, and we were very poor, my parents bought me a small teddy bear. That teddy bear is now more than 20 years old, but is the most precious gift I have. A single post-it note folded into a paper airplane with the words, "Will you be my boyfriend?" and 2 check boxes labeled yes and yes. Here's my husband now. I have a fortune cookie note in my wallet that says you and your spouse will have a happy life together. It was a second date. We have been happily married 24 years. It has been a very happy life. Dad's straw gardening hat. It's torn and worn, but he died 2 years ago, and it reminds me of him when I wear it. My dad used to make these wire puzzle toys. I have the wire, and I can make more of them, but the ones he made are priceless. I have a heart-shaped rock that is about the size of a quarter. My son gave it to me when he was 3 and told me to keep it forever. I have it in my back pocket daily. The Donovan. It's a $1 bill with a picture of ex-UF basketball coach Billy Donovan taped over the president. It was a single dollar a friend and I would pass back and forth, that we would bet on different things. It's a trophy we have passed back and forth over the last 20 years. It's an item that has kept us in touch. My dog Ziggy. I found him in a box outside of a liquor store. He was 6-week pit bull covered on mange. I took him home, bathed him twice a day every day for weeks to get the mange to go away. 4 years later here's the best boy with a full beautiful coat. I got this one for free, so I'm just gonna say this one. A piece of clay. The clay specifically has my dead cat's paw print in it, so it'd say I can answer this with the clay. I have one of those for my dog. I love the vet's offices that do this. My wife and I had to put our pug down a few years back. The vet sent us a clay paw print in the mail. It's my wife's prized possession. We bought a frame for it and are going to make a little shrine. A tiny paper crane a Japanese grandmother gave me when I was in Osaka at a museum. She worked there and was waiting for tourists to come play an educational board game with her. She got no interest, obviously. I reluctantly sat down and played after she caught me on my own with a smile and a beckoning wave. Even though we couldn't speak each other's language and I kept messing up, she was so kind to me, so happy that I sat with her. She made me deal with my impatience and sit with the distress I was feeling that day by slowing me down and making me do something plain and simple. When we were done, she gave me a tiny paper crane from the pile she had made to give to all the tourists that should have sat with her and didn't. It made me really sad and really happy I'd met her, and I hope she's doing well. On the 4th of July, my sister and dad found a kitten in our barn. He was tiny and looked like he was on death's front door. He ended up losing most of his hair and had to go through several rounds of antibiotics. Today, he's a happy, healthy, and spoiled boy. His hair grew back, and he has such a silly personality. We are so thankful we found Alec that day. He adds so much spice to our life and plays and cuddles with our pit mix. To us he's priceless. But he was free when we found him. Edit. Thanks for my first silver. Kind stranger. One specific screw. It has emotional significance. During our first official date with my GF, I got a flat tire because of that random screw. I had never changed a tire before in my life, and I was afraid I'd make a fool of myself in front of her. But it all worked out well, and she was super impressed. Next day, when I took my car to the shop to patch the hole, I asked them to return me the screw, just for the happy memory. That's really touching. I imagine a screw would be pretty easy to lose. Have you considered using it to hang a small picture of the two of you, so that you'd always know where it was? That's a great idea. Cheers. My glasses were free with my insurance, so they're definitely the most important thing in my house. It would probably either be my own life or those cheap charging cables that you can buy in convenience stores. Yeah, one of those two. My antidepressants. Free prescriptions, baby. My now husband and I went on our first date, which was supposed to be coffee and ended up being a 7 hours amazing chat session. My husband is not super affectionate or sentimental. Recently I found his parking meter receipt from that date. AWW. He keeps his soft side hidden, but it's definitely there. My daughter made me a pencil holder out of a soup can and construction paper that looks like a cat. It's been on my desk for 20 years. She's long gone from the house living her life, but every time I look at it, I see the 9-year-old that made it. If COVID has taught us anything, a roll of toilet paper. Dark humor is like toilet paper. Not everyone gets it. When I left my home country to study abroad, my GF at the time did a watercolor drawing the size of a Busiest card as a reminder that she'll be there. I have since then used it to cover up the slots in my wallet where I put my credit cards and IDs, which means that whenever I pay for something my card slots look empty. Everything important is behind this little drawing. The piece of paper that contained the eulogy I read at my mother's funeral this past July. Sure, I have a copy saved to my computer, but there is something about that tear-stained wrinkled piece of paper that means more to me than any other object in my house. We have a teaspoon that just appeared in our house and I use it every single day. It's the perfect spoon. My free pens I take from hotels. Memories of each trip I go on. A night from a chessboard. My best friend used to play chess with his grandfather, and it was their thing. After grandfather died, my friend kept one of the chessboards, but the pieces got lost over time. The night was the last piece he had left, and he decided to give it to me as a token of our friendship. Still best buddies since around 2009. A skateboard wheel nut. I met my wife skateboarding. Once while skating she hit this random wheel nut in the middle of the park and slammed pretty hard. She has since worn that wheel nut on a silver chain for good luck and a reminder. A few years ago I had it recreated in white gold with my daughters, mine and my wife's birthstones embedded. Now she wears that. The little piece of paper with my son's hand and footprints taken right after he was born. A tiny light up graduation ring my aunt gave to me when I graduated high school. I kept it and wore it when I graduated college. It doesn't light up anymore, but I'll never get rid of it. That single act of kindness in a time of my life where I was extremely unhappy is everything. I have a lock of my mom's hair I saved when we shaved her head from chemo. Her hair was falling out and getting really patchy and thin. So she decided to shave it all off and wear bandanas and wigs. I wrote the date on the envelope. She wasn't cremated and had a regular burial. And since I live on the other side of the country, I don't get to visit her often. I totally get why people hang on to loved ones' ashes, because that lock of hair became very precious to me when she died. She also always wanted to travel and never got to. She had a bucket list of places to see and checked off like one of 20. So I put some of the hair in a locket, and it's kind of like keeping a piece of her with me. It's my mission to take that locket to every single place she didn't get to go. My grandfather gave me a 1923 silver dollar when I was a kid. Probably worth more than $1 now, but it's priceless to me. A wristband I got at a concert I went to last year. They were free, and I got one for everyone in my group. The organization that was giving them out is called Hope for the Day, and the wristband says on it, "It's okay not to be okay." It's a good message and a good memory. Hey PSSST, please subscribe and like.